Okay, welcome everyone as we learn the Mishna Yomis for Thursday. Yom Hey Shel Shabbos Ba'aloischa, as we learn the fourth and the fifth Mishnayos in the fourth parak of Yoma. Sponsored Lila Nishmas Rabbi Rachmiel Gershon ben Rav Tzvi Yehuda and L'Refu Shalem for Yomis ben Chayesara by the Fisher family, Lila Nishmas Basi Bas Robert Shlomo ben Avram Alevi Perl Bas Ruvain by Yol Klugman and family for their Parnasa Berevach Uvechavit Gesund Nachas and everything wonderful. So the Mishnah tells us, we know that Keteris is offered every day, incense, where coals were taken from the Mizbeach HaChitzon, from a special pyre on the outer altar, and brought into the Mizbeach HaZav, and they were done on Yom Kippur 3 times, the 2 regular times and a special time in the Kodesh Kadoshim. Now there are differences. B'chol Yom, every day, Hayachayta b'shel kesef, they scooped up the coals with a silver shovel, uma'ara b'seich shel zav, and poured it into a golden shovel, which they would take into the Kodesh. Vayayim, but today, in order not to give the Kohen Gadol any extra work, he did the whole avodah and he's fasting. Chayta b'shel zav, he scooped it up initially with the golden shovel, ubaha yamachnes, and he took in that original shovel into the Kodesh. B'chol Yom, every day, Chayta b'shel arba'as kavim, he scooped it up with a silver shovel of 4 kav, or ma'ara b'seich shel shloishes kavim, and he poured it into a shovel of 3 kav, heaping up the 3 kav, and the rest fell to be unused. Vayayim, in order not to give extra work to the Kohen Gadol, Chayta b'shel shloishes kavim, he scooped it up with a golden shovel that held for 3 kavim, and with it he would go in. Now Rabbi Yossi just says it was different amounts. Rabbi Yossi, he would scoop it up with a silver shovel holding a saw, which is 6 kav, and then pour it into a golden shovel of 3 kav. On Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol scooped it up with a golden shovel of 3, and with it he went in. It was heavy because when it was heavier material, it was more durable. It was a thin layer of gold in order that it shouldn't be too heavy for the Kohen Gadol. The handle of the shovel was short, to be used only by the hand. But on Yom Kippur Aruka, it had a long handle so that the Kohen Gadol could tuck the end of the handle under his armpit so he could carry it not just with his hand, but also with his armpit. Every day the gold was the regular yellow gold. Yorek, by the way, is interesting. It means yellow unless it says Yorek Kakrasi. Then it means green like a leek. So the rest of the year it was regular yellow gold. Vayayim, on Yom Kippur, Odaim, it was the most expensive red gold, Divrei Reb Menachem. B'chol Yom Makriv Pros B'Shachris Pros Bein Ha'abayim. Every day he brought in a half a mon of Keteris in the morning and a half a mon of Keteris in the evening. Vayayim, on Yom Kippur, besides those 2 times, Moisif Malay Chafnaif, he adds 2 handfuls, which was the special amount brought into the Kodesh Kadoshim. B'chol Yom Ha'Sadaka, every day the Keteris was fine. Vayayim, but on Yom Kippur, Daka min Adaka, was fine as the fine, they ground it an extra time. Now Mishnah Hay tells us that normally when walking up the Mizbeach, we have a rule in the procedure that b'chol pina shatapayna atapayna liyamin. All turns you turn to the right. So the Kohen with the Kohen who was the Mizbeach, the ramp was in the south. It went from south to north. So the Kohen walked up the south, facing the north, and he turned to the right, he turned to the east, and then he went all the way around and came down in the west. So all rotations were to the right. So b'chol yom kahanim oilin b'mizrachai shel kevesh. They went up the eastern part of the kevesh, v'yordim b'maravai, and came down in the west, thereby making all rotations to the right. But v'yom on Yom Kippur, Kohen Gadol oila be'emtza v'yored be'emtza. He walked up the middle and down the middle, as the Rav says, to show the praise of the Kohen Gadol, that he's like a balabas and he could walk wherever he wants. Rabbi Yehuda says not just on Yom Kippur. That was the procedure of the Kohen Gadol throughout the year. Rabbi Yehuda Kohen Gadol oila be'emtza v'yored be'emtza. He walked up the middle and came down the middle. B'chol yom Kohen Gadol mekadosh yadav v'raglav min hakir. Every day, the Kohen Gadol sanctified his hands and his feet from the kir, like all the other Kohanim, where there were the 12 faucets. V'yom min hakiton shel zav. But on Yom Kippur, from a flask of gold. Rabbi Yehuda says, La'olam Kohen Gadol mekadosh yadav v'raglav min hakiton shel zav. Always the Kohen sanctified his hands and feet, even the rest of the year, from a flask of gold. Rabbi say, what a pleasure. I want to thank everybody. We do not have a sponsor for next week's Chumash here. We're looking for a sponsor, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Remember, Motzei Shabbos, shir at 10:15, zoomdaf.com, Tublat. Remember also that next week, shir is at 8:50 throughout the week. Also remember that shiurim can be found, of course, on TorahAnytime.com, Kol HaLashon, but also now there are many, many interesting shiurim on YouTube. Look up for my channel on YouTube, Rabbi Mishna Weiss. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful Shabbos.